as a one of the major consequence of the Alexander's invasion, and the political unification that was witnessed due to the emergence of Alexander on the backdrop of the Indian subcontinent, there emerged a significant political phenomenon which was called as emergence of the Mauryan Empire. Why it is of so much significance? That it is one empire where for the first time India faced for the first unification of India. I mean, before that there were 16 Mahajanpadas. Before that there was this division of, like, here there was Asmaka, there was Kamboj, there was Anga, there was Vanga, there was Avanti, and so on. So it was kind of a fragmented polity. Additionally, there were like smaller sanghats, smaller ganas, and all. So whatever consolidation, what was witnessed in the era of Magadha again started to happen in the backdrop of uh, attacks of the Alexander, and this led to vanquishing of the smaller kingdoms firstly, and secondly, like the emergence of first unification of India. And another thing which is of very high significance with respect to Mauryan Empire is it is like one of the earliest empire from the India from which, like, the clear historical sources are available. We will look into n number of clear historical sources, but probably, like, all the writings, all the uh, pillars, all the edicts, all the uh, travelers records, and all of these actually provide a vibrant and a critical picture of the contemporary era. And thirdly, I think the writings which are of high significance from the era or belonging, or like reflecting on the era, both are quite prominent in their perspective uh, itself. The example for it would be like the Kautilya's Arthashastra. So when the Kautilya's Arthashastra came into scene in like 1904, the first discovered copy, it threw a light onto extensive uh, like statecraft of which was present during that era. So it actually, like, provided a strong impetus to the self consciousness of the Indians in the backdrop of the colonial rule, and also, like, it painted a vibrant, systematized, organized, and authoritarian picture of that era. Similarly is the case with the Indica by Megasthenes, and the writings which are written after, like, in the post-Mauryan and the Gupta periods of, like, the Mudra Rakshasa, the Devi Chandraguptam, or the uh, grammar treatises by the uh, various other writers, actually, like, made the entire era of the period very significant in the context of entire ancient Indian history. Also, the another significant perspective from the Mauryan era is not only like the statecraft and the organization, or like the advancement of the taxes, advancement of the uh, departments, the organizational structures, the bureaucracy. Beyond that, there are like the stupas, there are like the edicts, and most importantly the message of Dhamma, the spread of Buddhism, actually, like, are relevant even today itself. So in all of this context, and with respect to, like, the questions which are being asked in the UPSC also, this era becomes of a very high importance. uh, uh, I have already told you that, like, the with the help of uh, Kautilya, or the Chanakya, which he is being known in the otherwise. Chandragupta Maurya rose, defeated, like, the uh, Dhananda Padma, and then he actually, like, rose to the founding member of the Mauryan Empire. The few things that I want you to know about him is, like, firstly and foremostly, he marched against the Seleucus and captured, or like got Arya, Arcosia, and Gendrosia as territories. And there is like this famous meme whereby like you would be know that Seleucus Nicator actually like gave him his daughter in the like the aftermath of the war, and also like the Chandragupta Maurya gave him 500 elephants in the in the similar exchange. And also in the backdrop of this, a famous Greek ambassador was present in the court of Chandragupta with the name Megasthenes, and he famously wrote the book Indica. He was particularly known for his devotion towards Jainism, and the way he like left to South India with the help of Bhadrabahu. He is known for the centralized administration, which is being often reflected and characterized in the Arthashastra by the Kautilya. Another thing that I want you to know is like there are particular names for him in the Greek literature, since like his contacts with the Seleucus Nicator and the Greeks were so prominent that they gave him names called as Sandrocotus and Androcotus. So it's Sandrocotus and Androcotus. His son called as Bindusara then again like uh, uh, started to reign after like Chandragupta Maurya went to the Shravan Belgoda and then starved himself to death. Bindusara rose to the empire, and actually he was a great king. He actually like uh, extended the empire even to Deccan. And another thing that I want you to know is uh, Bindusara actually received Daimachus as an ambassador from Syrian king. So it's like Daimachus. He was a Syrian ambassador. That's it. Uh, why I'm saying this, because like there were questions in the PYQs and other exams whereby like they asked about like everyone knows that Chandragupta Maurya has the Megasthenes as a ambassador, but few may forget that even the Bindusara also received Daimachus as a Syrian ambassador. After the demise of Bindusara, there emerged a great struggle for succession for the Mauryan Empire. And if you would to like believe Taranatha, he says that who was a Tibetan monk. He says that the Ashoka actually killed six of his brothers to six killed six brothers uh, to actually like rise to the position of king. And there are even lores around him that he not only killed six but also like hundreds of his brothers. I mean, that can actually be exaggeration, but I hope like that's how like fables, that's how stories are built in. When we speak about Ashoka, the first thing that comes to our mind is of the Kalinga. uh, it actually like it was a gruesome war which happened in the 261 BC. Though even though like there wasn't a much of a detail present about the course of war, but in one of the rock edicts called as Rock Edict 8, it describes that 150,000 were killed and many times the number were perished. So by the witness of such massive, such inhumane massacre and the violence, Ashoka actually like tried to shift away from the policy of the Beri Ghosha, which is conquest by war, to Dhamma Ghosha, which is conquest by Dhamma, or the righteousness. Another thing that particularly stands out with respect to Ashoka is his conversion to Buddhism. So Ashoka's conversion to Buddhism was a gradual process, and also it was driven by a monk called as Upagupta. He actually like step by step converted him from a like a someone who is not a believer. Then he became a Sakya disciple. Sakya disciple means like a lay disciple, a normal person. And then after that, he became bhikkhu also too. So his conversion was a gradual process and driven by like many things. uh, and he Ashoka majorly believed in the Hinayana of Buddhism. That's one thing that I wanted to know. And his conversion to Buddhism and his life, his policy of non-violence, tolerance was actually derived and got inscribed in the many major and minor rock edicts. We'll talk about them in in the like special sense in a special sense in the time to come. Another thing that I wanted to know about Ashoka is his policy of Dhamma. So basically, Dhamma is it's a way of life, it's a code of conduct, and it was a broad concept. Remember, it was a broad concept, different from the Buddhism. Hereby, he talked about the morality, he talked about ethics, he talked about tolerance. So there were like few instances whereby he talked about like worshipping and respecting elders, worshipping and respecting your father and mother, practicing ahimsa, his strong attachment towards the love, to the truth, to the perseverance, to the respect. Also, like he talked about other things like avoiding the expensive and meaningless ceremonies, practicing life which is like down to earth, which is like very very normal. He also like talked about women welfare also, whereby he particularly asked to appoint women welfare officers also. In addition to that, there is a strong concept of like paternalistic rule, whereby he considers his subjects as his children. So over and overall, it was a like basis for a welfare state beyond departure from beyond like the uh, simple religion. So the Dhamma wasn't absolutely the Buddhist teaching, it was like a actual way of life, a code of conduct. Additionally, like he sent Buddhist missions to Sri Lanka and Central Asia, and like his son and daughter went to the Sri Lanka to actually like preach Buddhism. uh, the later Mauryas were someone like who actually tried to consolidate it, but the expanse of Mauryan Empire was so vast that it was difficult for anyone to control it. I mean, if you would be knowing that there is a historical proposition that there will always be like a peak and then deterioration. This happens with the Sultanate, this happens with the Mughals, this happens with the Magad, this happens with the Gupta, everything, this trajectory happens. So this was the same trajectory with the Mauryan Empire as well. Ashoka was like succeeded by the Dasharatha and Kunala, whereby like the empire got divided into the western and eastern part, and then the Dasharatha and the Kunala were there. The last of the Mauryan ruler was the Brihadratha, and Brihadratha's term ended with the assassination of Brihadratha by Pushyamitra Shunga, who became like the founder of the Shunga dynasty, which is later to come. We will see it. Uh, Mauryan Empire becomes significant because of the literary sources that Mauryan Empire has, which reflects or which like the showcases the uh, uh, time of the contemporary era. First and foremost is Arthashastra by Kautilya. So it talks about firstly the Saptanga theory, whereby like the statecraft, uh, whereby the statecraft, whereby the taxation, whereby the administration, the monarchical rule, everything is talked about. Another thing of significance is it's a great treatise on the civil and criminal law, which was present at that time. Also, the policies, the insights, the principles which were laid down in the basis of on the basis of diplomacy and law are still relevant today. So it's a like very significant, very highly praised, very critical source of the statecraft, of the information into Mauryan Empire, and which gives like the details and showcases light on it. Second is the Indica by Megasthenes, who actually like came from the Seleucus Nicator as the Greek ambassador in the court of Chandragupta Maurya. His book only survives in the fragments. However, like his account give great detail into Mauryan administration. However, historians criticize that some of the details which were talked by him are incorrect. So firstly, talk about what significance that it holds. It talks about like the urban administration or city administration. It talks about what sort of army composition was there. Additionally, it talks about the capital and the grandeur of capital of Patliputra. However, his account of like presence of seven caste itself is does not bode well with the other writings, and it may be the fact that he was a foreigner and he could not gauge into the actual reality of the society and social hierarchy which was present in it. So that could have been the case. The next important thing is like the Mudra Rakshasa by Vishakadatta. It was written in the Gupta period, and it talks about rise of Chandragupta Maurya to the throne of Mauryan Empire with the help of Kautilya or Chanakya. It is a like great drama, drama full of like intrigues, full of the plots, the characters, everything is very well written. Then next is like a Mahabhashya by Patanjali, which it is a great treatise on the contemporary literature, contemporary grammar. Then like the Ashoka Vadana and Divya Vadana as the Buddhist uh, tradition or Buddhist writings also provide great detail into Mauryan administration. After these sources, I feel like one of the other important area that from which questions actually appear in this section is the Ashokan sites. Ashokan sites. And here again, our focus wouldn't be like remembering all of them. We just need to have like a bit of familiarity with them so that we can identify them ki acha ye yahan pe. We'll try and associate a bit of geographical features with them, and I'll via PYQ will show you how relevant they are और हर साल क्वेश्चन आते ही इस पे. तो first is like the Girnar, and then there is Kalsi in Uttarakhand. It's the most important thing with this. It's the only major rock edict in the North India. Then there is Shahbaz Gadi. This was asked in the PYQ also, and it's a major rock edict in the Kharoshta script. Then there is Manshera, there is Sopara, and then there is Dholi. We know that about Dholi rock elephant, again a PYQ theme. Then there was this Dholi inscription about the famine relief which actually happened there. And then there is this Kalinga rock edict is also associated with Dholi. Then there is this Jaugada in Odisha. Then there is Maski, Nittur, Uday Golam, and then Gujjara. All of these are particularly famous for them containing the name Ashoka. Then there is this Rupna Sahasram. You can just, these are very minor and haven't been like reflected a lot in PYQs, but you can go through them. Then there's this Yerragudi, again a PYQ site, and then it is particularly known for this southernmost Ashokan inscript. So again, if you would have been like following with me, I would have talked particularly about IVC sites which are northern, southern, eastern, western. Similar is the case with like Mahajan Padas. I talked about which are southern, western, eastern, northern. Similarly, with the case of like the megalithic or the Mesolithic sites, in those sites as well, I particularly paid much of attention to which were like the northernmost. Where was Gufrakral? Where was Burjhom? Why? Because the sites which are very close to one by becomes very difficult for even for the examiner to identify and prepare question on also. But the sites which are of a stark contrast and which one should know, they become quite relevant to be asked in the exam. So you, if you yourself want to remember a few of them, you should be remembering such special characterized sites. I hope like this will provide you a great insight into how to remember all of it. And of course, like me and like NFU with all our like this crisp writings and crisp descriptions, we are trying to ensure that you are given only what is relevant and trying to make this AMAC as a one-stop solution. Now coming back to it, another two sites which are very significance is like the Noria Nandangad and Loria Areraj. They both are in Bihar, and like they are famous for appearing in the exam also, and they are like quite quite fascinating also. Then there is of course Rampurva Bull Pillar Bull Capital, highlighting the marvel, the artistry, the significance of various motives, and how does like the political power was exercised in that era. So it's again PYQ theme. Then of course, who doesn't know Sarnath and the lion capital which is present there? Then there is Shanchi, there is Kosambi, there is Delhi, which was like again relocated Ashokan pillar by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Then there is Meerut. The two another sites which I want you to know is they are Rumindei and Nigali Sagar. Both of them are in Nepal. So Rumindei stupa or Rumindei site is particularly associated with the, it's quite closer to the Lumbini, which is birthplace of Buddha, and the stupa which got built here, they got built here after Ashoka actually visited the birthplace of the Buddha, and he was like so much devoted, so much fascinated, so happy with all of it that he actually like gave tax break to the entire region for like 3 to 5 years. Some sources say 3 years, some sources say 5 years. And closer to it, there is this Nigali Sagar stupa, and then Ashoka actually there was a Kanak Muni Buddha present stupa present there, but it got enlarged. So like again, Kanak Muni Buddha is again one term which is being used in PYQ. So I particularly tried to incorporate his this in this discussion. Then there is this Kandhar, and then Kandhar Greek edict. uh, Another thing that I want you to like remember and pay much of a consideration to is, see, there was like this Kharoshti script, Armeniac language, then Pali script, and then Brahmi script. So edicts exist in multiple of the scripts, and they exist in multiple of the language, though Pali being the major language. So my intention is, if it says that like if they associate Ashokan inscription with a particular site or with a particular language, then it's wrong. They were spread across the Indian subcontinent to such an extent that it becomes quite impossible for him to have a particular script or particular language. So it's up to us that see them as a like a wide arena of inscriptions and edicts, rather than like something which is a monolith. So like they are present in the Greek Armeniac, in the pure Greek, in the Pali, even like in the Sanskrit also in some of the areas. So it's like mix of all. Then after this, there are few like rock edicts and some features or some specialized things which are associated with them. So I just gave in these lists so that don't remember it, like don't by heart it, but just go through them and highlight or understand what themes which was present in there. So like the particular case what here is, the harmony among religious sects is talked about. Then again, like here it talks about decline of violence or spread of dhamma. Again, like here it talks about religious tolerance among all sects. So in 2023, I think there was this question upon a statement was given about religious tolerance and like respecting other religions, having the maintaining the harmony. You there won't be any possible book that can actually give you that inside that statement, but such kind of things can only be understood by whatever context, whatever understanding that I am trying to build in. So that's why at n number of locations I give you a bit of insight into whatever the background lies in. So here also I am trying to build in the same, like you just go through them. Even when I discuss the same with the dhamma also, the dhamma is actually characterized in from all of these. I hope like you are able to understand. Then after that, I want you to know a few of the details about the Mauryan Empire. First one is like the Mauryan polity. So Mauryan polity was a particularly, it was a, firstly polity, it was a triumph of monarch. So what it means, before this Mauryan Empire, there were, you would be know that in the foothills of Himalayas there were there was the republics, there were like the Ganas, Sanghas. But after the rise of empire, all of Mauryan Empire, all of them got subsumed, and the rise of triumph was also due to influence of the Kautilya's Arthashastra on it. Even though like the Kautilya's Arthashastra supports the monarchy, but major thing yet you need to understand it. It does not support the royal absolutism. So what it means, it means that the king is the head of it and there is a monarchy to it, but there is a entourage, there is a entire structure, there is an organization to support him. The organization starts from the amatyas, which were like IAS or civil servants of that time, and then there were officers like samharta, sannidhata, senapati and all. Will be taking like a terms wala booster session separately. I'll be covering all of this there itself. Then uh, there was like considerable taxation was also there. The taxation was driven by like fixation of 1/6 of land revenue, and also taxes were laid on land, irrigation, customs, ferry taxes, forest, mines, pastures, and then also, I mean, to the extent that there was like market license fees also. And why, how and why do we need? We know it because the extensive description of the same thing comes from the Arthashastra by the Kautilya. Since and also like the taxes were collected in cash, and there was this uh, cash, so there must be a department of commerce and industry to actually like fulfill the need for cash or like the utility of cash. So the soldiers were also paid in cash. There was market control by the officers called as adhyakshas, who would like fix price, who would control supply, who would ensure that there is a customs duty levied on it, would ensure that there is a regulated weights and measures. I mean, you can understand at even in but 300 BC, 200 BC, we had a regulated weights and measures, and then there were ferries levied on it, taxes levied on it, and everything. And all of these was so elaborate that there was a tribunal or court system to actually enforce the laws also. The third thing that I want you to know is about the uh, administration. So the administration, of course, there were amatyas called as civil servants to actually help it, but amatyas were absolutely like there was this competitive exam for the recruitment, and the elaborate method for the selection is actually like given in detail in Arthashastra. Additionally, there were officials for the jails, and then there were officers for the uh, enforcement of civil laws, criminal laws. There was elaborate system of the top courts, subordinate courts, and everything. Another thing of very high significance is that there was a separate census department present there, and the census department was of a permanent nature, and it not only enumerated the gender but also what kind of animals which were present there, and the caste, the occupation, the geographical location, and all of it, so that actually uh, monarchy can hold control over its subject. And fourthly, like the Mauryan Empire was divided into four provinces, and they were like characterized by the capitals being Takshila, the Ujjain, the Suvarnagiri, and Kalinga. So the Kalinga, which was annexed, became a part of the entire uh, province and a capital for it. The village administration was actually like in the hierarchy, which was driven by the Gramini, which was like the one village. Then collection of village was called as Gopa, which was whereby 10 to 15 villages were therein. Then there was this Yukta, and then there was Rajuka. Uh, you can see that the questions from this part are particularly safe. So the first question is about, like I've told you in the last session, and in I'm speaking in this session also, like there was this location and states are being asked. Again, the location and states are being asked. Here also, like the only the basis and fundamental understanding of things is asked. Here also, like the Chandragupta Maurya and his Jain policy, and then his movement with to the south with the help of Bhadra Bhagu was asked. Again, so the questions, what do people do is they tend to read and like study too many of the things which aren't of much of a significance, but such small, such like 5 minute looking into maps can actually give you n number of questions correct. So these questions, what you need to do is, such maps I have tried to incorporate in across the notes. You just need to carefully pay much of a heed to them to ensure that you are not getting such sites based questions correct, because I have already put in so much of effort in this to while get this, and I know that like the fact that it is a bit of a tricky area, I'm trying to make it a one stop solution in as simple way as possible. So pay much of it to, and you by yourself by the PYQ understanding would know that such questions are only being asked. uh, then you would know that, like as I have told you earlier, the Dashratha was assassinated, the Brihadratha, I'm sorry, the Brihadratha was assassinated by Pushyamitra Shunga, and which actually like led to rise of Shunga dynasty in the uh, in the backdrop of the Mauryan Empire. One more thing, like the all the art, all the architecture, and the stupas and all of it will actually be covered in the architecture and the art form, which is like session 456. Because like what I feel is that those areas require very special understanding and very special focus, because from there only question comes in. Our entire focus is on scoring the maximum marks, and remember they must be done with the special attention for it. And you would be from the till now from our pedagogy, you would have understood that we aren't like going with everything, rather we focus on very pointed, very relevant, and very crisp set of things. So this is something that I want to tell, and just focus on whatever we are trying to complete in here. Just go a bit with your standard book, and then rest you are good to go. Very obscure questions from your paper also are taken care of by this this kind of like booster focus. Now coming back to the discussion, the Shunga, with the like assassination of Brihadratha, uh, Shunga dynasty rose to the power, and it was founded by Pushyamitra Shunga, who was actually the assassinator, and it was like driven by the military coup that was ensued after the Maurya's decline. One important thing that I want you to know is, uh, Shungas were staunch followers of uh, Brahmanism, and they actually like Pushyamitra Shunga performed two Ashwamedha yajnas. Another thing that I want you to know is like uh, the famous book by Kalidasa called as Malvika Agnimitra is actually like written on the Shunga king Agnimitra, who is son of Pushyamitra Shunga. And then like the son of Agnimitra called as Devabhuti, he was the last ruler of the Shunga dynasty. And of course, like they say, jo boge wahi ugega, I mean what you uh, uh, feed in will actually like come out. So the Devabhuti was again assassinated by his minister Vasudeva Kanva, like the way Pushyamitra Shunga, who was a commander in chief of the Mauryan ruler, assassinated him. Uh, this was it, and then like it became the foundation of the Kanva dynasty. They were like wasn't of much of a significance, because like their rule was very little, of like close to 40-45 years. But the one who rose after the Vasudeva Kanva or the Kanva dynasty was the Satvahanas, and they were of very high significance, majorly because of the fact that like they were known as Andhras. And another thing is, they rose as a major dynasty in the Deccan, whereby till now all the major dynasties which we looked into, they belong to the northern part of India, but they were like one of the earliest ones who actually rose in the Deccan. Their foundation was led by the Simuka, and two major inscriptions called as Nasika inscription and the Nanaghat expression inscription are associated with them. Nasik Prashasti is by the is of the Gautami Putra Satkarni by his wife Queen Gautami Balasari. And another important thing is like Satvahanas had Pratisthana in Maharashtra as their capital, and another capital was there in the Amravati, which is in the present day Andhra Pradesh. Amravati as their capital is particularly known for them uh, actually like having stupa in Nagarjun Konda. Again, a PYQ which was being asked, and of very high significance. Another thing that I want you to know from the Satvana dynasties, their names, that their names were of the of the fact that like they were known by their mother's name. So like there is this Gautami Putra Satkarni, then there is this Vasishtha Putra Pulmai. Then there is this Yagyashri Satkarni. Why I am saying this? Because if let's say there is a question which comes from like this sort of, whereby like only knowing the name, so what sort of names a particular dynasty has, you don't need to remember them, but you just need to have an idea. Like here they were like Pushyamitra, Agnimitra. So by the guess of it, you can arrive at few of the answers very logically. So that's why I repeat such names, I repeat such things, so that I don't want you to remember them, but you just need to have a background. बस दिमाग में हो वो अपने. I was saying like another important thing with this is they were greatly known for their extensive trade with Romans, and particularly like the lead coins that they bought in. Their extensive trade was driven by major thing that they could actually capture ports which were like Kalyani and Sapora on the western coast, and also like the Gandakesala and Ganjam on the east. So it, and another thing that you need to know from the Satvanas is that uh, one of the ruler of the Satvana dynasty called as Hala wrote a famous book on the love and on the passion called as Gatha Saptashati or Gatha Sattasai, and which is like still very popular amongst the readers. Even though like they patronize the Brahmanism, they were also like great pattern of the Buddhism also, which can be known from the like the Nagarjun Konda Stupa, which can be attributed to them. Then there's this Chedi dynasty. Only thing that I want you to know from them is the Hathi Gumfa in inscription at Udaigiri, which is in Odisha. And since like they patronize Jainism, you may say that Hathi Gumfa inscription can be attributed to the Jainism. That's it. So here you can see the last Mauryan ruler Brihadratha was ascended by his commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Shunga, Didi. The last Shunga king Devbhuti was assassinated by Brahmana minister Vasudeva Kanva, Didi. The last ruler of the Kanva dynasty was deposed by Andhras. Did the only question, if you know like by chronology, it can be solved, and I try to like cover it extensively also. Here also you would know that like we discussed, this question will come up again and again, because you need the entire session to address this question. And like the Buddhist council wala question, we'll talk them when we talk about Jainism and Buddhism, and or like the later when we talk about the Kanishka. Here again such maps I have put in to ensure that like you would know like in the context of Indian subcontinent how things are going in. uh, when like the Mauryans were present, and like after the Mauryans there was a bit of vacuum which emerged, and then during that time there were numerous foreign invasions which would took in. They were like the Indo-Greeks, the Shakas, the Parthians, the Kushans and all. And then there were, of course, I mean, bacterians before all of this. But you don't need to read them much of in detail, but few things, few points that I am putting in, you need to just know only them. First is about the Indo-Greeks. One of the major ruler from the same period is the Meander, and he got like immortalized with the book based on his conversation with Nagasena, a Buddhist monk, called as Milindapano. It's a great dialogue, great trusty into uh, the uh, the uh, Buddhism, the spirituality, the conversion, and rest of the other things. Also, another thing that I want you to know is a Greek ambassador called as Heliodorus. Heliodorus actually like became Vaishnavite and erected a Garuda pillar in Besnagar. So again, PYQ, like base Nagar is in MP or present day Vidisha. So again, a PYQ which is being like only thing that can be asked from the era, I have given it. Again, only thing that can be asked, I have given it. So trust me, like whatever we are giving in question will get reflected from it. Another thing is the after this, then they came the Shakas. Shakas were particularly known as Kshatrabs. Why? Because the Kshatrabs, it means the provincial ruler in the Iranian side of language. And the Kshatrap system itself means that it's a system of military governorship, which got introduced with the advancements of the Shakas. The most important ruler from the Shakas is the Rudradaman. Why? Because Rudradaman actually like repaired the uh, Sudarshan Lake, which was built in the which was built in the Chandragupta Maurya era, and uh, it all of it is attributed to the Junagadh inscription, which can be attributed to him. And another important thing with respect to Shakas is that Shaka ruler called as Aziz I actually started the Vikrama era, which is like the 52 BC. That's it. Only two things that you need to know: Rudradaman one, Junagadh, and then Saka era. Then there's this Parthian, they are very short lived and there's nothing much of a significance. The most important uh, amongst them is like the Kushanas, particularly the Kanishk. The Kushanas, like the foundation of it was laid by Kujula Khatphasis. However, like the most prominent of them was the Kanishka. He had like the Purushpura, or like present day Peshawar as its capital, and he was actually known for his victory over the Chinese. Who Chinese? Chinese ruler Pancho. Pancho. I think you won't be forgetting this anytime soon. And also, like he captured a part of territories from them. Next thing is like Kanishka is also known for his patron, him being patron to the Buddhism, and in his era, in his patronage, the fourth Buddhist council happened, and he was a great patron of the Mahayana sect of it. So the fourth Buddhist council of it took place, and then like the scholars like the Ashwaghosha, the Nagarjuna, the and rest of the others like Vasumitra from the Buddhism actually like were contemporary to it, or him, or rather got patronized by him. Another thing of very high significance is that he actually patronized the Gandhara and Mathura school of sculpture. We will discuss them in detail when we talk about architecture, but you should know that like this is of very high significance. Uh, then another thing that I want you to know about the Kanishka is that the he is often like attributed to the headless statue, which was found in Mathura, and also like he is the one who started like the Saka era, which was like 78 AD again. So So one thing that I want you to know is, and pay much of a consideration to, is like the Kanishka who wasn't Saka started the Saka era, but Aziz one who was the Saka started the Vikrama era, and Vikrama came first, then Saka. So V comes later, so it's first, and then S comes later, so it comes first, then it comes later. So ulta hai. So ऐसे you can like remember this so that you don't get confused. This was asked two times in the PYQ, so I'm trying to like lay much of an emphasis on it. The next thing that is of high importance is that you should know that like uh, the it was the Indo-Greeks who actually like started first introduced the punchmark gold coins in India, and these are those Indo-Greeks. uh, I think apart from that, like the Mathura school and the Gandhara school and rest of the things, we'll be discussing them in detail when we talk about architecture. But what I want you to say and emphasize on that, I hope like that our pedagogy of trying to deliver this context in as crisp way as possible, giving you only those details which are of relevance, and like leaving a bit to you as well for your understanding, so that like I can talk about this Kanishka itself for 1.5 years, but I don't think like that much of a thing is relevant for this exam. This exam you need to know like 3 4 5 6 major things. So in every aspect of it, I try to give you like major 2 3 things, major 2 3 4 things. Here also like I try to give major 2 3 things. Here also try to give so if you know these 3 4 things, trust me, you are not gonna get any questions wrong. And wherever we feel like that you need to know a bit details, we are giving you such crisp tables, such crisp understanding, so that even when if such a question comes in where you need to know more than this, you are good to go. These are what the booster sessions are. These are what all you need to know sessions are. I hope like you are able to understand, you are able to grasp, and we are on the same footing when it comes to am AC. Since in the orientation session itself, I talked about the fact that this is one area which I feel like many of the students struggle out on, and then there is a FOMO amongst all of them. My entire effort is to reduce that FOMO. I want you to by PYQ show that there is nothing beyond what is being discussed can be asked, and if they are asking something which is beyond this, trust me, no one is gonna like attempt it. पूछ रहा है तो पूछ रहा है, because we need to be considerate of the marginal utility of things as well now. So I hope like you are able to grasp all of it, and isko I'll be sharing the notes and the slides with the sessions itself, so that you can watch them, you can understand, you can make a bit of jottings on the notes itself. I hope like you are doing well. If you feel any doubt, if you have like any questions, if you want clarification from me, just always drop to me at the rate NFU underscore officials. Till then, all the best. And uh, to tell you one thing, like this will be the fourth time that I am recording the same thing. 3 times the recordings could not happen due to the technical issue. So like we are desperate to make you clear prelims. We are ready to whatever it takes for you to clear prelims. You just like believe in yourself, believe in us, and baki to like I always say, Jai Hind.